The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home, the kind of downpour that seemed to wash away the city's grime but couldn't touch the knot of anxiety in my stomach. I'm Barnaby, 46, a freelance graphic designer working from our home in Minneapolis. My wife, Mireille, was a real estate agent, always out showing houses, making deals, the kind of person who thrived on being around people. I, on the other hand, was content with my quiet world of pixels and deadlines. We'd been married for 15 years. 15 years of what I thought was unwavering love, mutual respect, and a shared life. Now I wasn't so sure. Lately, Mireille had been distant, preoccupied. Her phone was her constant companion, and she'd snap it shut whenever I came near. She worked late more often, claiming the market was booming, but her explanations felt hollow, rehearsed. I tried to brush it off. Maybe I was just being paranoid, projecting my own insecurities onto her. The feeling persisted, a nagging whisper in the back of my mind that something was terribly wrong. The first real crack appeared on a Tuesday morning. Mireille had already left for work when I went to grab my laptop charger from the bedroom. It wasn't there. I vaguely remembered seeing her use it the night before, so I figured she'd taken it with her. No big deal, except later that day she texted me, "Hey, hun, could you grab my charger from the office? I forgot it." My blood ran cold. Why would she ask me to get it from her office if she had it with her? I decided to play along. "Sure thing," I texted back. "What's the address?" Her reply was instant. "Never mind, got it. A client had an extra one, thanks anyway." The lie was so blatant, so clumsy, it felt like a slap in the face. That night I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, replaying the text exchange in my head. The next morning I decided to do something I never thought I'd do. I snooped through her phone. It was locked, of course. Mireille had always been fiercely protective of her privacy, but I knew her birthday, our anniversary, our dog's name. I tried them all one by one until finally, on the fifth try, the screen unlocked. My heart pounded in my chest. I felt like I was violating some sacred trust, crossing a line I could never uncross. But the need to know was overwhelming. I went straight to her messages. There were dozens of texts from an unknown number, saved under the name Mark S. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the conversation. It was explicit, intimate, filled with the kind of longing and desire that Mireille hadn't shown me in months. "I can't stop thinking about you," one text read. "When can I see you again?" Another. "Last night was amazing. You're incredible." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. The air left my lungs and I stumbled backward, collapsing onto the bed. My wife was having an affair with someone named Mark. I didn't know who he was, what he did, or how long it had been going on. All I knew was that my world had just shattered into a million pieces. I spent the rest of the day in a daze, unable to work, unable to eat, unable to think. The only thing that kept running through my head was the image of Mireille with another man, sharing the kind of intimacy that was supposed to be reserved for me. When Mireille came home that evening, she acted like nothing was wrong. She kissed me hello, asked about my day, and started making dinner. I watched her, my heart aching with a mixture of anger, sadness, and disbelief. How could she be so normal, so nonchalant, when she was carrying on this secret life behind my back? I couldn't keep it in any longer. "Who's Mark?" I blurted out, my voice trembling. Mireille froze, her face paling. She turned to me, her eyes wide with panic. "Mark? I don't know any Mark," she stammered. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out her phone and showed her the text messages. She stared at them, her denial crumbling before my eyes. "Okay, fine," she said, her voice barely a whisper. It's just a friend from work." "A friend?" I exploded. "Those texts don't sound like something you'd send to a friend. You're having an affair, aren't you?" She started to cry, the tears streaming down her face. "It just happened," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake." "A mistake," I repeated, my voice rising. "You've been lying to me for weeks, sneaking around behind my back, and you call it a mistake." She tried to touch me, to take my hand, but I recoiled. "Don't," I said, my voice cold. "Don't touch me." That night we barely slept. Mireille kept trying to talk to me, to explain, to apologize, but I couldn't bear to listen. Every word she spoke felt like another knife twisting in my heart. I told her to sleep in the guest room. I couldn't stand to be in the same bed with her, knowing what she'd been doing. The next few days were a blur of anger, accusations, and tears. Mireille begged me to forgive her, promising it would never happen again. She said she loved me, that she regretted her actions, that she wanted to make things right. Part of me wanted to believe her. Part of me desperately wanted to salvage our marriage, to go back to the way things were before. But the other part of me, the part that had been betrayed and wounded, couldn't let go of the pain. I couldn't shake the image of her with Mark, the thought of their intimacy, their lies. I decided I needed to know the full extent of the affair. I needed to know who Mark was and how long it had been going on. I hired a private investigator. His name was Jasper, a gruff, no-nonsense guy who didn't waste words. I told him everything, showed him the text messages, and gave him Mireille's work schedule. He promised to get back to me within a week. The waiting was agonizing. Every time the phone rang, my heart leaped into my throat. Every time Mireille left the house, I wondered where she was going, who she was seeing. Finally, a week later, Jasper called. "I've got some information for you," he said, his voice flat. "It's not good." We met at a coffee shop near my house. Jasper handed me a thick envelope filled with photos and documents. I opened it, my hands shaking. The photos showed Mireille and a man I'd never seen before, holding hands, kissing, entering a hotel together. The man was tall, handsome, with a confident smile. He looked like he was straight out of a magazine. "That's Mark Sullivan," Jasper said. "He's a lawyer, works at a big firm downtown." I flipped through the documents. There were phone records, credit card statements, hotel reservations. It was all there, laid out in black and white. The affair had been going on for 6 months. 6 months of lies, deception, and betrayal. I felt a surge of anger so intense it nearly choked me. "There's something else," Jasper said, hesitating. "Mark Sullivan is married." I stared at him, stunned. "Married?" I repeated. "You're telling me my wife is having an affair with a married man?" Jasper nodded. "His wife's name is Odette. She's a teacher, seems like a nice woman." I felt a pang of sympathy for Odette, a complete stranger who was going through the same hell I was. I imagined her unsuspecting, trusting her husband while he was betraying her with my wife. I thanked Jasper and paid him, then drove home, my mind racing. I couldn't believe the depth of Mireille's betrayal. Not only was she cheating on me, but she was also complicit in breaking another woman's heart. I decided I had to tell Odette. She deserved to know the truth. I found her address online and drove to her house. It was a modest bungalow in a quiet neighborhood with a neatly manicured lawn and a swing set in the backyard. I hesitated, unsure of what to say, but I knew I couldn't leave without telling her. I knocked on the door. A woman opened it, her face etched with weariness. She had kind eyes and a warm smile. "Can I help you?" she asked. "Are you Odette?" I asked. She nodded. "Yes, I am, and you are?" I took a deep breath. "My name is Barnaby. I'm Mireille's husband." Her eyes widened in surprise. "Mireille's husband, what do you want?" "I need to talk to you about Mark," I said. "About what he's been doing with my wife." Odette's face crumpled. She started to cry, the tears silently streaming down her face. "I knew it," she whispered. "I knew something was going on. He's been so distant lately, so secretive, I just didn't want to believe it." I told her everything, showed her the photos and documents I had. She listened in silence, her face growing paler with each passing moment. When I was finished, she looked at me, her eyes filled with pain and anger. "Thank you for telling me," she said. "I needed to know." We talked for hours that day, sharing our stories, our pain, our anger. We found comfort in each other's company, knowing that we weren't alone in our suffering. We decided to confront Mark and Mireille together. The next day, we went to Mark's office. We walked into his fancy law firm, marched past the receptionist, and barged into his office. Mark was sitting at his desk, looking smug and self-satisfied. He looked up, his face paling when he saw us. "What the hell is this?" he demanded. "What are you doing here?" "We know everything," Odette said, her voice trembling with rage. "We know about you and Mireille. We know about your affair." Mark's face contorted with anger. "You're crazy," he said. "You don't know what you're talking about." I stepped forward, my voice cold. "Don't lie, Mark. We have proof. Photos, phone records, hotel reservations." "We know everything." Mark's facade crumbled. He looked from Odette to me, his eyes filled with fear. "Okay, fine," he said. "It happened, but it didn't mean anything. It was just a fling." "A fling?" Odette screamed. "You've been lying to me for months, betraying me with another woman, and you call it a fling." She slapped him across the face, her anger finally erupting. Mark didn't react. He just stood there, looking defeated. We left his office, leaving him to face the consequences of his actions. After that, everything moved quickly. Odette filed for divorce. Mireille and I separated. The pain was still there, but it was slowly starting to fade. I focused on my work, my friends, and my own healing. I started seeing a therapist who helped me process my emotions and learn to trust again. Mireille tried to contact me to apologize, to beg me to take her back, but I refused to speak to her. I couldn't forgive her. I couldn't forget what she had done. Months later, I ran into Odette at a local art fair. We talked for a while, catching up on our lives. She seemed happier, more at peace. She had started taking art classes and was rediscovering her passion for painting. As we were saying goodbye, she turned to me and smiled. "Thank you, Barnaby," she said, "for everything, for telling me the truth, for being there for me. You helped me get through the worst time of my life." I smiled back. "You helped me too, Odette," I said. We helped each other. We hugged, a silent acknowledgement of the bond we shared, forged in the fires of betrayal. As I watched her walk away, I realized that I was finally starting to heal. The pain would always be there, a scar on my heart, but it wouldn't define me. I had survived the betrayal, and I was stronger for it. The rain had stopped, and the sun was starting to peek through the clouds. It was a new day, a new beginning, and I was ready to face it, alone but not broken. Life after Mireille wasn't the life I had imagined, but it was mine, and I would make the most of it. Betrayal is a cruel teacher, reader, but it also reveals our inner strength. It forces us to confront our vulnerabilities and to rebuild our lives with newfound resilience. If you're going through something similar, remember that you're not alone. There is hope, there is healing, and there is life after betrayal. Take care of yourself, seek support, and never give up on the possibility of a brighter future.